Hey guys, welcome back to Election Center. And in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys my latest 2020 electoral map prediction. So where I think the race stands right now, which states I think will vote for Joe Biden, which states I think will vote for Donald Trump, sort of what the margins will be, and who will ultimately be the victor in the Electoral College. So yeah, we'll start off here with filling in the safe states for Joe Biden, the Democratic challenger. Then we'll get on to Donald Trump, the Republican incumbent, his safe states. Then we'll do the likely, the lean, and the tilt. So safe, I'm sort of classifying as 15% or more in the margin. That's what I see most other people do. 15% or more is classified as safe. So this darkest shading here, we'll start off with Joe Biden here on the West Coast in Washington, California, and narrowly Oregon is, in my opinion, just barely going to scrape into that safe territory. Oregon, Washington, and California will be more so with a heavier cushion. But yeah, for Joe Biden. But Oregon barely scraping into safe territory here. And then New Mexico will once again just barely scraping in that safe margin. Clinton won by about 8 points. That's a solid margin of victory. It's still competitive though. But yeah, seems to be getting more Democratic still. And Joe Biden outperforming Clinton. I think this is going to be safe for Joe Biden. Moving on here to the Midwest in Illinois. I think this is going to be a solid Joe Biden state, going for him by a safe margin. The District of Columbia, the nation's capital, I think will go safe for Joe Biden, obviously, upwards of 90% in my opinion. And then we're filling in these other northwestern states, including his home state of Delaware. These New England states, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, Vermont. This first district in Maine is going to go safe for Joe Biden. It went safe for Clinton, definitely is going to go safe for Biden. And we saw Maine shift heavily to Joe Biden this time around, according to the data in polls. But yeah, I think he's going to win this first district by more than 15%. New York here, safe Democratic territory right now. It's going to go safe for Joe Biden. And finishing off these solid Joe Biden states here with Hawaii. So now that puts him at 188 electoral votes in safe states. Pretty well on his way already to that 270 electoral vote number needed to win. So now Donald Trump's safe states here, starting off with the Great Plains here, Idaho, Wyoming, the Dakotas recently have been extremely solid Republican states. Nebraska, all about that second district, I think is probably going to go safe. And this first district here could be on the cusp of likely or safe, but I'll just keep it safe for now. But yeah, the second district here, really competitive. This could easily go to Joe Biden. But yeah, Oklahoma now safe for Trump. Moving on here to the southern region, Kentucky, Tennessee, Alabama, Louisiana, and Arkansas, I see going safe for Trump. And then here in West Virginia, this was Trump's strongest state, I believe, in 2016. He won it by more than 40 points. Very safe Republican territory. And I think Trump is going to do really well here again and win by a very safe margin. And then Indiana, probably just getting into that safe territory. A bit more than 15%, maybe. So yeah, now a couple more states here. Utah will probably go safe for Trump. So yeah, I think that's the last safe Trump state. So that puts him at 88 electoral votes, 100 electoral votes behind Biden. So Biden pretty well on his way. Trump still got a ways to go, but there's 262 electoral votes left to be filled in. So now let's fill in Joe Biden's likely states. I've seen a common classification, 5 to 15 points, and I feel like there's room for another classification because there's a big difference between, in my opinion, between a 5-point win and a 14-point win. So I feel like it would make sense for another classification, but I'll specify if it's sort of on the higher end of that range or the lower end of that range. But yeah, filling in Joe Biden's likely states here on the map. Let's start off here with Colorado. Clinton won it by over 5 points. I see this easily going to Joe Biden by a likely margin. Nevada, probably see going likely for Biden. Virginia here, a pretty strong Democratic state right now. I definitely see Joe Biden winning by a likely margin, if not safe. I don't quite see it going safe, but I definitely see a solid margin of victory for Biden here in Virginia. And then some more of these likely states here. Minnesota, I see going likely for Biden. Trump probably hoping to win here. It maybe has been trending to the right, I believe. But yeah, I think for now, Joe Biden will be able to crack that 5-point mark. Same with Michigan. And filling in more here, think probably Maine statewide is going to barely go by that likely margin to Joe Biden. It's probably going to, Hillary Clinton only won it by a few points in 2016. I think it's going to go likely for Biden this time around, as well as New Hampshire, probably just going to be in that likely range. And I think Wisconsin and Pennsylvania, barely going to be likely. It's really close between lean and likely for me, but I think Joe Biden will just be able to get into that likely range. We see in some of these states, for instance, Minnesota, trending to the right. I think some voters will come back to the left. And Michigan, Pennsylvania, Donald Trump did well with blue-collar voters in 2016. I don't really think Clinton had much of a blue-collar voter appeal, but Joe Biden actually does. And maybe his Scranton message will work in a state like Pennsylvania, for instance, help him get into those likely numbers. But yeah, this already puts Joe Biden over the top at 278 electoral votes here. But we'll see how much Trump can catch up. And filling in the Trump likely states now. Montana, I think, is going to go likely. It was safe last time. I think it's going to just be below that 15-point marker. On the high end for sure, probably, but likely in my opinion. Kansas, maybe on the higher end. Missouri, it's going to be a bit competitive, but once again, pretty likely. Mississippi, South Carolina, these are states that these are likely GOP states in my prediction. And Alaska, I also think is going to be likely. Just over that, it's going to be on the lower end probably of the likely range in my opinion. So yeah, that puts Trump at 125 electoral votes so far, well behind Biden. So yeah, that gave, in these likely states, we gave 90 electoral votes more to Biden, in these likely votes, 37 to Trump. So Joe Biden with a big advantage right now. And now we'll fill in the lean states. When we're talking about lean, we're talking maybe 2 to 5 points. So yeah, filling in states that I think are just going to lean to Joe Biden. I think Arizona will get into that lean classification. Trump couldn't even crack a 4-point margin in 2016. Couple that with Joe Biden significantly outperforming Clinton. And also we have the state trending to the left. So I think this is going to be pretty solid. 4-point maybe for Biden. Just like in that lean classification. Not quite likely, but, I think at least 2 or 3 points for Biden. And so yeah, that's my forecast for Arizona, adding 11 electoral votes to the lean for Biden. And then filling in some more here. The rest of these states, I'm not sure if I could add any more lean electoral votes for Biden, leaning states. I will go to Trump's lean states, in my opinion. Iowa. This state voted for Trump by 9 points in 2016, whereas it voted for Obama by 5 points in 2012. We saw for a lot of the elections before 2016, it kind of voted roughly in line with how the nation as a whole voted, little to the left or little to the right. In 2016, though, whereas the country voted 2 points to the left, 2 points for Hillary Clinton, Iowa voted 9 points for Trump, so that's 11 points more to the right. So, even if Joe Biden wins by a super solid 8-point margin in the popular vote, that's still going to be a few points for Trump here in Iowa. I think Trump's going to win Iowa by a few points. It's going to get closer. And, we look at the polling data, they actually show Biden with a narrow lead. But, you can't completely take the polls into account. For instance, there are certain factors you think about that would make you think a state would vote a certain way. Then the polls sort of contradict that. It's not necessarily that your way of thinking is wrong. It could be that polling error, because polls do have errors. Polls aren't always correct. So I'm thinking there's going to be a few points of victory for Trump in that lean classification. And Texas, I think, is going to be lean Trump. He won it by 9 points in 2016. But that's actually, while that's a solid margin of victory, it's less solid than in the past. So the state is trending to the left. The Senate race in 2018, Ted Cruz versus Beto O'Rourke, it was a squeaker. Cruz winning by just a couple of points. Cruz, obviously, the Republican, O'Rourke, the Democrat. So we have Texas becoming more Democrat. And, couple that with Biden outperforming Clinton once again. 9 points. Let's turn that into 5 points, because Biden's outperforming Clinton. Couple that with, a trend to the left. This might barely be a lean for Trump. Maybe less than 2%. I could see this going tilt. For now, I'll say lean, but I could definitely see it going tilt also. And I think this is pretty much all the lean states in my forecast. One more thing I didn't fill in for Biden here. This 2nd district here, I'm thinking is going to go lean for Biden. The 2nd district in Nebraska. So, yeah, it was just a couple of points in 2016. I definitely see this going lean for Biden. There's the polling here actually shows it likely. Not that there's that much polling, but I'm gonna have to say it's not gonna quite be that likely margin. Moving on to these tilt states. Okay, fine. One more lean. We might see this 2nd district go lean, but in Maine, but I'll get back to that. Moving on to the tilt states for Biden. I think maybe North Carolina is just going to be tilt for Biden. 3 points for Trump in 2016. That's 5 points to the right of the country. I think about it a lot in this way. And I'm pretty sure Joe Biden's probably trying to win the state of North Carolina, pouring resources in. Hillary Clinton certainly did in 2016. So if Joe Biden's winning by a solid margin in the popular vote, I could see this going to him by 1.3% or something. Just because I feel like that 3% margin we saw in 2016 is definitely going to be surmountable for Biden. And I have one call here that is going to shock a lot of people, and people are probably going to really disagree with me here. But I think Georgia is tilt Biden. Now, here's my thinking. Hillary Clinton, really not a great candidate, had the email scandal, poor favorability ratings, very poor. Not an exciting candidate for a lot of people, I don't think. And it was only a 5-point difference between her and Trump in Georgia. Trump won by just 5 points. And this state, Georgia, is trending to the left. So I think this would just barely go to Joe Biden. It's trending to the left. Turn that 5-point margin of victory into 3 points, right? Because of that trend. Joe Biden definitely outperforming Clinton's margins by more than 3 points, in my opinion. That puts it into tilt Biden territory, in my opinion. Just look at the 2018 senatorial race. Stacey Abrams lost by just a couple of points. So yeah, and this pandemic is weighing down on Trump's support. If you look at the polling data, it was pretty close, but then eventually the pandemic started to weigh down on Trump's support, and it turned into a pretty substantial lead for Biden. Before that, it was actually not too bad of a lead for Biden either, but it was definitely closer. This pandemic is weighing down on Trump's support. He's down by 11 points right now in the polling averages. I think Real Clear Politics might show it 9 points, 538, 10, or 11. But yeah, he's down substantially, and he's probably going to lose the popular vote substantially. So yeah, I think this is going to go tilt Biden, as well as Florida. It's going to go tilt Biden, in my opinion. Trump has made inroads into Florida. It's closer than the rest of the country as a whole. Trump is making inroads with voters in Florida, with Cuban American voters who tend to be anti-socialist. His anti-socialist messaging seems to be resonating because it's helping him with this demographic in Florida. But there's also lots of seniors in Florida, and Biden has been doing well with this demographic. It's actually flipped from Republican to Democrat this election, so that probably is offset any Trump gains, and in my opinion, and we look at the polls, it's closer than the rest of the country, but it's still 4-point lead or so for Biden. So yeah, I think Florida is going to be tilt for Biden, and he's at 350 electoral votes now. Quite a substantial margin of victory for Joe Biden in the electoral vote. And the rest of these states here, the tilt Trump states. I think Ohio is going to be tilt Trump. voters that gave this to Trump by 8 points in 2016, I think could swing back to the Democratic column. And I think all factors considered, this would go to Trump by 1 point, maybe 2%. And in that case, maybe you put it in the lean, this color. But I'm thinking tilt right now. You know, I'm pretty sure that the blue collar voters, you know, if you have a blue collar appeal, then that could be key to winning the state of Ohio. And Biden does have an appeal to blue collar voters, and so this would be tilt for Trump. You know, Hillary Clinton, I don't believe she had that appeal. So now all we have left is this second district, and I think this would be maybe tilt or lean Trump. He won it by 10 points in 2016, but yeah, Maine in particular is shifting a lot to the left, I think, this time around. Biden, once again, way outperforming Clinton, I think. And all things considered, I think this would be just a tilt Trump win. So yeah, this is my final electoral map prediction. That is 350 electoral votes for Joe Biden, 188 electoral votes for Donald Trump. You see here, that's 188 safe for Biden, 90 likely, 12 lean, and then 60 tilt. For Trump, that's 88 safe, 37 likely, 44 lean, and then 19 tilt. So a substantial electoral vote margin for Joe Biden, and I think it'll be a pretty substantial popular vote margin as well. So yeah, this is my electoral map prediction for the 2020 election. I guess the way I've been predicting is different than how I have maybe in some of my previous maps and some of these recent developments, and now that I'm thinking about some other things, this is a lot different from my last prediction in terms of the states. You know, maybe it wouldn't be as different as I'm thinking just because of the winner-take-all of the states, all winner-take-all system in terms of awarding electoral votes in each state. But yeah, this is my final electoral map prediction. So for as of right now, so yeah, you know, if you guys, you know, disagree with me on these states or agree with me on these states, you know, definitely let me know in the comments, you know, which states you agree on, which states you disagree with me on, and, you know, sort of what you think is going to happen for the 2020 electoral map. And so yeah, I'm definitely interested in hearing you guys' thoughts, and I'll respond to your comments, have a conversation with you. So yeah, you know, if you enjoy this type of content I make here on this channel, electoral maps, polling data analysis, I think you should definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel, because my videos are going to be right up your alley if you're into this sort of thing. Electoral maps, election analysis, polling data, all things elections related, you know, discussions about historical elections. You should definitely subscribe to my YouTube channel. And you know, just at the end of the video here, I'm actually going to turn this all into solid colors, because I like to see how it looks at the end when you turn everything into a solid color for everyone. So let's turn all these states into solid, just to see how it looks at the end. The final, you know, this is what you might see on your screens on election night. Of course, you know, it's not like it's all going to be called on election night. So yeah, this is my final electoral map prediction as of right now. I could make others in the future, and we see some interesting things here. Georgia going blue, Trump holding on to some battlegrounds here. But yeah, you know, I say it one last time. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, thought it was interesting, and I'll see you in the next Election Center video. Bye, guys.